Okay. Um, same time, second time recording this. Was recording the wrong screen the entire time, so that's upsetting. But only last 2 minutes. So I got this to work, but I kind of got lazy with it. It's kind of boring. I don't really like setting up the GUI of a website, I guess. Um, or just UI, the user. I don't like setting this up. I like doing like the coding bit. That's the fun part. But like actually doing this, it's kind of like awful. Um, so yeah, but when I hit skills, it does that. Cards. I've gotten it to now remember what is happening. So if I like do this, it will remember if we go to skills and then cards. I can reload and it'll still remember. One problem is, for instance, if we delete both of these and then we do that and we try to send it over, it goes to the wrong place and that messes things up for some reason. Um, so if we now I got to clear out the content. So, but also if for instance, let's say I move this one over here and I hit cards. Okay, it's not doing it. I don't know. I think this the glitch I was finding before. Like if I look at my notes, let's see. I wrote down forgets the last card if second is blank, but clearly it's not. So I think that had to do maybe with I don't know. It's just not doing it anymore. It's really weird. But yeah, there was a glitch. I'll have to try to find it again. But if this one if this one was sent over and I like click this for it to like remember, because that will like load this back up. Technically, like it'd be like the same as that because it like deletes everything and then it loads it back. Um, but yeah, it was making this one blank because this one was blank, but it's not doing that anymore. So I guess I fixed it by reloading the website. So that's cool. Maybe I forgot to hit this button, the reload page, so the code didn't update, and I fixed it without knowing. But yeah, definitely need to fix this, or well, I need to fix it when like I need to fix this problem. I think I know how. But yeah, that's all I got done today. Kind of wish I got more done, but it was kind of a lot. Because you'd be surprised how much I had to do. And now I will talk about all I had to do. So, on this side, on the CSS side, I made a container to contain the skill part. Uh, and the boxes that you clearly saw, that took me like way too long to do because I was just sitting there thinking and not doing. I'm a lot better when, like, as a coder, you should always think about things before you code them. Like, you should plan it all out before you try to do it. Just so you can. It's like thinking ahead. Speak before you act, or think before you speak. But with this one, it's just I know what I need to do. I like knew it. I was just like kept on thinking about it, being like, okay, is that right? Yeah, blah blah blah. And then I like just wasn't doing anything. So I was in the right mindset, and I really was thinking about how to do the storage, which I found pretty luckily actually. I was just looking around at the Java API that Mozilla has, and I found store. I just saw the word storage. I'm like, oh, that might be what I'm looking for, and it was. So I wasn't sure, so I did a little bit more research off of the Mozilla website. But yeah, um, Technically, I don't need this, but I'm gonna keep it for testing reasons. It just clears out all the local storage, so like it on a reload it won't remember what cards were already made, which is really helpful because a lot of glitches were coming up from it remembering it, which wouldn't be a problem, obviously, because I hadn't finished coding, so the glitches were coming from that. So then I was just like trying to test one thing, but a glitch would come up from like it not being finished. So I'm like, okay, I'll just clear it out, and then I finish the code and it works, other than what I showed you already. But yeah, I had to make like 3 new functions because when you create a card, I want to update the local storage so that it knows how many cards are there. But with the way I have it loading, if we scroll on down, let's see the for loop. Where is it? Okay, yeah, this for loop. It would wait. This isn't the right place. Never mind. Card button. Okay, here we go. So here it would go through, and then this used to say create card. Well, as you know, or as you just saw, if we scroll back up, it in create card it updates this, but upon like reloading the website, amount card is equal to 0. You might be like, oh, okay, well just before this, before you increase the oh yeah, and right here it sets amount card to what amount card is, but here like amount card is it's set equal to 1 now. So then it sets this to 1. It like tries to load all the, and then it thinks there's only 1 card. Even if there's like 40 titles, right? And like 40 pictures that have been saved, it only knows that there's 1 card, so it only would load 1 card. I'm sure there were better workarounds, probably. But I just made a new function that virtually does the same thing, except for it doesn't update this. It's specifically only for when you hit the cards, because when you hit the card button, you're not actually making new cards. You're just loading it. That's why it's called load card, not create card, right? While it looks like it's creating things because it uses the create functions, it's not. It's just creating the cards again so that the ones that were there from before are actually there. And the same thing for load each card. It's pretty much just create e card, but slightly different. One function different because I had to change the move card. I had to create an entire move card function that was I don't even know. Move card is like my function that I made. It's like a fever dream. I just kind of code when I see it, and I'm just like, I hope this works, and then it kind of works. Like, how did that work? I don't even. For loops throw my head for a loop because, as I've learned in my CS class, really what you want to do is you want to, like, on a piece of paper, like, write down, okay, what's it doing this time? What's it doing that time? What's after every loop, right? Okay, what's it doing? Right? That would be easiest. But especially with this website, there's so many variables, like, because the for loops usually depend on how many cards are on there, so it's like impossible to know. So it's just like it'd be impossible to test for every number because there's an infinite amount of numbers. So maybe it breaks eventually, especially with there being like it's only like bytes only go up to like 2 billion or whatever. But yeah. So load E card is basically the same. Oh, and I don't think I talked about this before, but when you go off of, or even if you hit the top card button again, it forgets this because that element was technically deleted and replaced with an element with the exact same name. So you have to tell it again for some reason. It just even though it knows what it is, I don't know. It's just how it works. I just know this is what I have to do. I don't really know why this forgets. I'm not sure if I use the jQuery get element if it would work. I doubt it. I think it's because since it's deleted, but like it, but technically I'm setting an element with the same ID, so it should still like find an element with this ID. But yeah, whatever. You have to send this to you have to retell it what it is, even though it should know. So I had to change this from a var, or from a const to a var. I still haven't found a reason to use a const. Maybe these could be, because like descriptions and pictures, because those don't ever change. I think those could be const, but whatever. I think it's better to be able to like manipulate variables. Like that's what variables are for, kind of. I'm sure senior developers are scoffing at me because they're like, "Oh no, constant variables are great. What if it tries to access the constant variable?" But at that point, it's like, why are you trying to access a variable that needs to stay constant? You know, maybe if you're writing a library, I can see, but like I'm not writing a library, so yeah. No, I can definitely see why you would need to if you had, but that's besides the point. So yeah, these two new functions aren't really anything crazy. I added this to the e card, counts the e cards. Let's just have these all right next to each other because they're like all basically the same thing. Next we have none of these are different. Drop click. This was the first thing I experimented with the local storage. It's the ID, which is either this or this of the title, and sets it to that. And then I base everything else off of that. I mean, I could store, like all of these things, right? I could store all of those. But it just seems like a lot of data to store for no reason. I feel like it might honestly be slower to like grab all of that data. Like you have to go into the memory and be like, oh, whereas I could just I can do what I did instead, which I will show you soon. Then move card, hell of a just bullshit, say the least. You have to store this, and then because there's a new e card, obviously, so you have to store that. But then at the bottom, it deletes the amount card, so you have to update that. Then in here, you have to get, because it's changing every single one of the unequipped cards. You have to get the content. You have to get the title from the old, or from the old card. Like, so if it was card 2, it's going to be turning to card 1. So you have to get that content from card 2, the old card, and then you have to set it equal to that. And then I set the slightly higher one to nothing. But it's okay because that basically just sets the highest card to nothing, which is what we want, because technically the highest card doesn't exist anymore. So yeah. And then everything else gets changed with this. And I mean, technically, it's so like, let's say it starts at 3, right? There's 3 cards, so it starts at 3. It sets this switches 3 to 2. 2 then gets set to itself, its old self, right? Then this sets 3 to nothing. Then it would go through again. It would make 2 into 1, and make 2 into 1, make 2 its old self, or make 1 its old self, and clear 2. I could see how this could be a problem. I actually think I just Yeah, I just don't think. I think this is the problem with like the glitch that I couldn't show off before. I think that's the problem with it. I don't know because that would make everything blank, right? Yeah, it would. I could just. Yeah, I could just get. I know how I could change this to make it good, which I want to change it right now because I'm making the devlog. But yeah, that gets me thinking. Anyways, it's bad. This is bad. I do basically the same thing. Um, Here, I think the only thing is I don't update the E card because if I update the E card, it will set it to 1, and then it will only make one E card. Delete card has to update the E card or mount card, whichever. Move right does like the same thing. So, oh yeah, it does the same thing as move card and move card on load. The reason I had to make a move card on load is because the way I create an E card is I just create a normal card and then I send it to the right with move card, which I know is counterintuitive. This move right moves it to the left and move card moves it to the right. But yeah, so since I technically don't like, I kind of do. I goofily make a move. I create a card and then move it to the right. I had to create a whole new function that does the exact same thing as move card, except for, I probably didn't need to, now that I think about it. I probably could have just called this function. Well, I would have had to make a new function, right? But what I could have done, instead of just like copy and pasting it all, I could have just called this, and then instead of doing this here, I just take this out. I take this out, right? And I put it in like whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But yeah, yeah, it's bad. Card button has been like completely changed. There's like a whole. So I set amount card to 0 when it's clicked, because you kind of need to, or else it will, instead of making the cards where they're supposed to go, it will actually create new cards instead of just loading the cards. So we put it to 0. And here we put E card to 0 because these are basically the same for loops, except for one's for the normal card, one's for the E card. Here it goes through load card, and then it finds the title ID. And if that title ID is not null, or well, if the title that was stored isn't null of the title ID, that'll do this. It will go through and make the card like the card it was before. It'll set it to acid splash or to armored bullets, whatever. Which are the only two right now. But I mean, obviously, eventually there's gonna be thousands, and I'm gonna have to do stuff. And then it does it for the same thing here. It loads E card and then does the exact same stuff, but with an asterisk. Cool. Yeah, I mean, that's all I've done today. I'll probably work on it more probably right after this. Let's be honest. But I want to get one uploaded every day, so I'll probably wake up tomorrow and upload this. See ya.